And we're live with episode 5 of the Project Stardust podcast. Welcome back. I'm Jordan with
Hey,
Terry.
I'm
This is our
Christian. Yep,
podcast
yep,
we started. This is our podcast we started to talk about Star Wars, talking about the
yep.
Acolyte episode 6 today. So we got a good one. First impressions, Terry, if you want to go over anything.
It was really short, really straightforward. I really wish this episode was like an hour long, really exploring the two sisters branching off and now with each other's masters and seeing, like, in a way, were these the appropriate masters they're supposed to be with from the beginning? Maybe, who knows? So we'll go into depth about what I'm trying to say about that. But what did you think about it?
I thought it was very straightforward too. I would have loved definitely an hour. I know it didn't seem like it went anywhere, but it would have been nice to kind of get in those characters' minds in their respective areas from with Soul on the ship and with Kamir on or the stranger rather in the unknown place. So I would have loved more of that, even though it seemed like it was going nowhere. But any
Mm-hmm.
specific rating you would give this from a first impression?
Uh, It'd probably be a 7 out of 10 for me.
I agree, 7 out of
How
10.
about
That
yourself?
was my pick too.
Yeah,
7 out of 10.
yeah,
Yeah. Super straightforward.
yeah. It wasn't
Isn't I
bad.
don't know
I
how,
just wish it was longer.
yeah, and I don't know how I feel. A little weary the next two episodes going into it. I don't know what we're heading in towards and if this will feel complete or if they're gonna leave us kind of hanging with, oh, maybe there's a season 2, and I would wish they
Ah,
fulfill the story arc with this in the last two episodes. And again, I don't feel hopeful knowing that each episode was like 30 minutes, and like we
yeah,
mentioned, it felt like a big movie that was cut into different parts. So I don't
yeah.
know
The
how I feel
pacing is
going into the
definitely
last two
terrible.
weeks. Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree.
definitely, definitely. It's like the story's
Um,
there, but it's just weird. And then like everybody online, from what I've saw, everybody was like, I wish they would give this show more time because even we saw from the writer on Twitter who was like, oh, we had a time constraint of how much we can write. Like we wanted to expand the story, but we couldn't. And that's what to
mhm.
me is just like, well, if you guys already knew what you wanted to go, I wish they just gave you guys the okay. Like, okay, yeah, for sure. Like if it makes sense for the story, let's do it. But
Yeah.
yeah.
And with her saying it was because of budget reasons doesn't really resonate with me, knowing that it was $180 million budget, which was more than Kenobi, and Kenobi had
Yeah,
definitely longer episodes.
they did. Kenobi had like 42. I think the smallest episode was like 38 minutes,
Hmm.
but either way, like all of them were long, which I just
Yeah.
don't understand the consistency of keeping it the same time. But who knows? Disney Star Wars shows have been kind of notorious about being all over the place. Like Mandalorian, like there could be a long episode for Mandalorian and then there could be a really short episode and you're like, that's it? Like why did they do this? But hey.
Hmm. Yeah. So we head into this episode 6, which is Teach Corrupt. We start off with we could talk about Soul and May if you want to start there. I just wanted to go off the bat. Do you think Soul knew it was May from the beginning? I know we had no, you don't think so?
Yeah, I don't think so. So I've seen online what people's like, oh yeah, he knew it was her and he was trying to reason with her. I really don't think he knew it was her. I think he was so trapped in his grief because obviously, okay, so you got to remember the episode before Kymir basically calls out that Soul has like a dark side to him, like oh he has a side to him, because he almost killed Kymir. I'm pronouncing that name right, right? Kymir. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's refer
So
to him as the
I felt
stranger.
the stranger. So that's yeah. So the
Yeah.
stranger. So I feel like because of that, we're seeing him have more grief, and obviously that's like the darkness. I'm not saying Soul's a Sith, but obviously he's feeling more in the dark pain. He's a lot in pain. His mind isn't all there. He's not focusing. So I don't think he knew that was May right away. I
Mhm.
think like further down the line, there's things that he was like, "Why are you acting so weird?" And obviously he figured it out because of Basil. The goat, the MVP. Basil figured it out. Which I thought was like a little weird. Like that was actually a little funny pause too. That little Basil scene where he just pops up and he does this little karate moves, and then May's like, "The heck!" Like that was like the best part. But yeah, I don't think he knew it was her though until later. What did you think?
I was on the fence about it, but I initially thought it was he did not know that it was May as Osha. I thought he was playing into it. And like you mentioned, Soul or we've mentioned before, Soul isn't strictly by the book of what we call a Jedi,
Hmm.
right? So he's formed attachments, which has been pretty obvious. So he's definitely not in that
Yep.
realm of strict Jedi. So he's had these feelings, and we've like you said, he's kind of experiencing this grief throughout the whole episode. And it was neat to see Basil kind of sniff out and try to figure out that that wasn't really Osha.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
I think you can see both ways. But I I thought that it seemed that he was kind of blinded by it. But
I will give props to the my bad for interrupting, but I will give I
no, you're
just want
fine.
to share this. I will give props to the direction they took story wise of showing us May and then showing us Osha and then going back and forth and then seeing the difference. May is obviously trying to like really well, May and Osha are both really rejecting right now. They're like, nah, I don't want to hear anything both of these have to say. But they're both keeping an open mind. So you could see May starting to slowly open up to Soul. Because Soul was like, I'm just gonna confess whatever it is. Finally, hopefully we figure that out next episode. But it was interesting to see her kind of open up to him as well and be like, whoa, what the heck? Like, so you did care about me? When when that reveal comes that he knows who May is, to me, even though he like, ties her up and everything, I feel like to her it was a big eye opener about that feeling, that emotion. But yeah, and then for OSHA though, yeah, that was a whole other crazy side about going into your emotions and feeling out your emotions and everything.
As being a Jedi Master, he should have sensed May as
Yeah,
not as Osha from the beginning.
yeah, yeah. No, see, I thought about that, but he was so clouded by his grief. He let all that darkness come in. He was blinded by it, and they do say that in like the Jedi's order and everything that when you fall to the dark side and everything, you're so blinded by all that hatred, all that grief, all that fear, all those feelings. They cloud your judgment. While you're a Jedi, you're so meditated. You're one with everything. You're calm. You're at Zen. You're at peace. Which Soul wasn't. He just couldn't believe that he lost his whole team. He lost his Padawan on her first mission. That's what I think.
Then we see Vernestra go to Kofar
Mm-hmm.
to see the massacre that was in the jungle, and we see her pull out her purple lightsaber. How are you feeling about the whip saber?
Yeah. Uh, I thought it was interesting. I thought it was a cool lightsaber. I mean, I barely started doing my research on Venestra, so I saw that she's been in part of the books for a minute, and she's 112 years old right now in the story. But they threw some hints about her character too. But the whip was very interesting as well. I thought it was cool. It looked cool, so I can't wait to see more of it. But my other like off a little tangent here was I'm so surprised how she's kind of keeping it hidden a little bit still. Where all the Jedi's think, oh, there was an explosion. She was like, no, this was lightsabers. Like they were murdered, and I'm just like,
Mhm.
like is she okay with them knowing that they were murdered and everything? And then also too, they put little hints of the little political stuff about how the politics and the Jedi, the Jedi cooperation with the Senate. So even they were having problems, during back then with the Senate, which is an interesting clash to see. So she's trying to probably keep everything on the down low from the Senate, which is interesting to me.
So do you think she knows of the stranger and is trying to clean things up, or do you think that she believes this massacre was done by Soul? As she remember, she made a statement to the other Jedi where she said, "Oh, that's quite an accusation to believe that Soul did this."
Yeah. No, I don't think she thinks it was Soul, but I do think she thinks it's someone else. And because they had their hints about it already when they had that meeting with Master Kiadi Mundi. They're like, oh, it looks like she was trained by a Jedi. So obviously,
Mhm.
Master Venestra kind of was like, interesting. She knew that there was something going on. She knew that there was a master for May, and yeah, I don't know. I just think it's really interesting where this is going. So I'm pretty excited about it. But yeah, I know a lot of people really aren't. But yeah, I definitely don't think it's Soul. Like, I mean, well, I don't think she thinks it's Soul. What about you?
Um, I was trying to figure out whether she was trying to blame Soul for it to kind of cover it up, but I don't know if that really makes sense because then she would make the Jedi look poorly, right? But then again, if there's this other
That could
figure
be the
that's
story.
around, and yeah, if this figure around the galaxy, what's this threat that's out there that we haven't discovered and actually found and got rid of, like what's this problem?
Yeah.
So that
No,
that's
definitely,
the two
definitely.
things I'm juggling
I mean,
here.
I saw a theory that supposedly she trained the stranger, but who knows because of that scar in his back and that weird scene that we saw of him. But at the same time, I also saw another theory that his master gave him that through force lightning as well. So you never know.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, well,
Yeah, yeah, it's
to
very interesting
yeah,
theories right now.
to connect the two, people are believed with the scar we saw on the stranger's back. It might have been from Vernestra.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's what they're saying. I mean, if people can survive from multiple lightsaber wounds, I'm sure I'm sure a lightsaber whip they could survive that.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to think that he was one of the Jedi's training, and maybe Vernestra was
Yeah,
one of the masters and saw evil in him, or maybe he turned bad. I'm just kind of pulling at straws here, but I'd like to see the connection
it would
between
make
two like
sense.
that. Hmm.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
would definitely make a lot of sense. But yeah,
yeah. And
but
just
yeah,
to get rid of
interesting.
just to get rid of the
Oh,
elephant in
sorry.
the room, the scene of him going into the water. I don't
Some
know.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I
I
personally felt like it was kind of off, definitely kind of off, especially being in the realm of Star Wars. But then again, if I'm pulling at anything, we've had shirtless Hayden or Anakin in Revenge of the Sith, so yeah. But this one obviously was
yeah,
probably
we
the
we did have
worst
that like weird.
of all.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, we have that weird shower scene in Solo where like Solo showered with Chewbacca as well,
Oh right, yeah,
but they didn't really show that much.
yeah.
But yeah, no.
This,
But
yeah,
I didn't like that whole Twitter thing where people are like, "Oh my God, look, he's trying to hit on her and he's trying to make her vulnerable and all." I don't think it was that. I really don't think it was that. I think he was just showing how much trust he has in her, and he's just like, "Hey, you do whatever you want, and it's a test." But he knows deep down that she won't kill him or anything. She won't betray him, maybe. And I think that's why he likes her more than May.
interesting. I could
Yeah.
see it a little bit just if I'm pulling from another project, the sequels with Kylo and Rey, they kind of had
Mhm.
a dyad, especially in the Last Jedi. They kind of had a dyad. It was like, oh, okay, cool. But then in the Rise of Skywalker, it was it kind of went towards more of a relationship, right? So I sense
Yeah.
it, and I feel like there was a parallel there. I'm not sure if it was intentional, but
Maybe.
I kind of sensed it.
Maybe. I got an innocent mind sometimes. So I try to keep it like, all right, he's a Sith, he don't care. Who knows? But honestly, if he falls in love with her, that'd be a very interesting spin as well.
Yeah, a very powerful too, right?
Well, I mean,
Character.
that's why he keeps saying because he even hinted at the same thing that he told Soul. He was like, he calls out her relationship with Soul, to Osha, and he's like, "Oh, a master and a pupil." And we heard him say that the last episode, and because when Soul's like, "What do you want?" and he's like, "I want a pupil." Like, I
Hmm.
want to be a master and I want a pupil. So we see him saying that a lot, which was interesting. But seeing him like um, call out her relationship with Soul and calling out all these insecure things about herself, about why she wasn't good enough for the Jedi, or if she was good enough, maybe they were scared of her. He's trying to feed into that. So
Hmm. So, do you think Osha wants to join him?
I think Osha is just maybe thinking like, you know what, he's not wrong. The stuff he's saying is not wrong. It's valid. Because if she was trained by Soul, she knows how to be a little lenient, you know? Obviously we see that, we see Jedi's like Yord that are by the book, and then we see Jedi's like Soul who are, well, no, that's not right. But at the same time, we should be doing that as Jedi, but at the same time, I don't agree with that. And I feel like Osha is like that because she's trained by Soul, and I think the stranger is really feeding into that.
It seemed as though Osha had and needed this the stranger at this time as
Mm-hmm.
parallel.
Mhm.
May needed and has Soul at her respective times. So it's an interesting parallel and comparison.
It is. Yeah, yeah, and they're both testing each other. I feel like, well, I don't think Soul has really tested May, but the Stranger's really testing Osha, and I'm hoping to see if Soul will really test May and really help her understand what really happened that night. And
Hmm.
I don't, who knows? Who knows? It's an interesting thing that they're both switching right now, and there's a reason for it. But I hope it doesn't
Definitely.
end with the bad twist.
Yeah. And for the sake of everything, I hope we get the full backstory. I hate how it's almost episode 7 and we don't know the full backstory yet. So I hope we
Yeah,
get to it next
it's
episode.
yeah, it's insane how far they're going without that context because it just makes them look bad. I
Yeah.
want this to succeed, because it's an interesting story. But at the same time, I'm kind of joining in with the other crowd where I'm like, where is this going? Like, I don't.
The
Is there
deeper
going to
we
be a
go,
season
yeah.
2 or not? Yeah, because
Yeah,
then
yeah,
even Leslie was like, yeah, I just started going with the story, and then I'm putting everything boom, 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 and there could be a
yeah.
season 2. Maybe there couldn't be a season 2, and it's like, is there or is there not? Like, I don't want this to end with a cliffhanger, and then that's it,
Yeah.
and then it
Yeah.
doesn't get a season 2 or something.
Hmm. Um yeah, I didn't like how she mentioned how there's different plot points that aren't fully resolved anyway. So she could still go into that for season 2.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, hey, I'm with it. Hey, if it's
Mhm.
good, I'll support it.
Yeah.
But it is
Uh
what it is. But also, this planet that they're on, I also thought it was funny how he confirmed that it was cortosis. So they're saying that this like specific planet that has that mine is the same planet that Darth Plagueis is and the other Darth used to hang out at. So it makes me wonder if it is that planet and if that's where his master is at as well.
mhm. I did want to pull this comparison just because it was brought up on the internet. That place that was unknown is similar to where Rey and Luke did train and contrasted things. And they did mention that OSHA kind of had the same outfit as Rey. Um, just something to mention, but
Yeah, yeah.
I could see it.
I, I I saw that one too. I saw that one too, and then I saw the other planet that they said that was mentioned in the Darth Plagueis book. That was the planet that the Sith members or people that were strong in the Sith would go and really feel their emotions, I guess, and that would make sense why she puts on the helmet in the end to feel what the stranger was talking about.
Oh, how we could close off and just be
Yeah,
within.
and just feel her emotions because as a Jedi, you're trained to push all that negativity away. But when
Hmm.
you're, I guess, the Sith, you're trained to use it as fuel, obviously, but to really, I guess, what's the word? Like, I guess translate the feelings. Like
Yeah,
really dive deep to what you're really feeling.
yeah. Indulge in it and kind of use it to
Yeah,
express yourself and, like you said, kind of feel yourself. In a sense, in a
yeah,
sense.
because
Yeah.
because Osha's always been like, and to us, it looks like she's always been a goody two shoes. She's always helping people. She's always doing the right thing.
Mhm.
So it would be kind of interesting to see her fall a little bit because every Jedi always has their
Yeah.
moment when they fall.
I would say
So
even
we'll see what happens.
she seems to have kind of concealed herself. I don't know if you've seen that too. Compared to May, she's has this anger and hatred as she goes through each Jedi Master she meets.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Before we do get carried away though, any predictions you have for the next episode and maybe how this thing ends off?
Um, well, I think the next episode is going to be the flashback because So already said, that he was going to let the council know and everything. So I think we're finally going to see the flashback. I think we're finally going to get a reveal of why the stranger is so involved. We're probably going to find out who he is. I think. Um, we'll also see where Soul is taking May as well because Soul left without the Jedi's there. So it makes me wonder if he didn't want the Jedi's to, you know, accuse May of killing all those people and everything as well, or obviously blame her because she is an accomplice to all this as well.
Mhm.
So I mean that's really what I think. What about you? What do you think?
Well, do you think they could get through all that in 30 minutes?
God, I hope the next episode is at least 45 to 50 minutes. Like at this point, they need to start making these next episodes like an hour long to progress
Mm,
with the story because it's not
yeah.
cutting it. That's my biggest issue. Yeah, that's my biggest issue with the show. The pacing. It just feels
Yeah.
like Andor. Like I like Andor, but the pacing is just terrible. Just like the show, is the pacing's pretty bad.
Yeah. I'd hope we get again. I wish we and I hope we do get to fully flesh out the backstory of what happened back at Osha and May's home planet and try to see
Oh,
what happened there. And like you mentioned, I think that's a good thing to want is to see where Soul maybe is taking May or what she's gonna do with her.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
obviously with Osha and the Stranger, I'd love to see if maybe she falls and becomes the Acolyte or I don't know. I don't know.
yeah. I mean, he
Um,
was he was already getting her urges because he was like, "You never had a lightsaber, huh?" And,
mhm.
she felt a lightsaber, and she was like, "Wow, like this feels kind of cool," you know. So I thought that was an interesting little stuff that they put in there. So we'll see.
Yeah, and that's true. That's even the first time she held the lightsaber for a while, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
So and there's that. And heading into the finale, I'd love to see a Dark Plagueis.
yeah.
If
I want to see somebody at this point.
yeah,
I need to see
so
something like
I want to
it.
see who the
Just yeah.
master is, what's going on.
I want to see
Yeah,
if the master kills the stranger because he revealed
I
himself.
know we just kind of
We'll
want our
see that too.
answers.
I want to see what happens with that. Or Soul kills the stranger, or Soul's gonna die. Who knows? Soul
Ah,
might even die, dude.
I'd
I
love,
don't want him to, but he might.
I'd love to see the stranger as not someone who just dies off, but someone who kind of evolves even more further down as a character. I mean, obviously not part of the Skywalker saga or anything, you know. So I
Yeah,
hope
well,
they
I
go
mean,
further with his character.
they might because Leslie teased why he has the Kylo Ren music as his theme.
Definitely,
So there's a
yeah,
reason behind that. He might be the Knight of Ren leader, the first ever Ren. So we'll see.
yeah.
Good
So
episode. I
I
just
think
hope.
it's like a yeah. I think it's another Kylo situation where I hope and wish that the stranger has a bigger character development, you know, because he's been
Yeah,
I think one of the biggest stars of the show.
yeah, definitely, definitely. He's very interesting. I just want to know more about him, and let's see where it goes from here. That's pretty much all
Yeah.
I can say.
Yeah. Again, very straightforward episode. If you have nothing else to say, we can close out.
Nothing else to say. It was super, super fast.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess that ends it here for the this episode of the Project Stardust podcast, episode 5. And again, like we've said, just hoping for the best the last 2 episodes, not for the sake of the show, but for the sake of the storyline and for our sake as we've invested time into it. But we'll see. We're hopeful for it. It is what it is. Again, I'm
Yep.
Jordan, and I'm joining me. I have Christian Terry here. So it's been a pleasure. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.